The warning unheeded. Calrex adjusted his environmental suit as he stood before the Galactic Council chambers. The gravity was slightly stronger here than on his homeworld, making his four limbs ache after the long journey. But physical discomfort was the least of his concerns today. Behind the sealed doors, the fate of another world, and perhaps the galaxy itself, hung in the balance. For 20 cycles, he had studied the inhabitants of Sol 3, known to its natives as Earth. 20 cycles of observation, of learning, of growing fascination, and increasingly, concern. The massive doors parted with a low hum. A Meltrian attendant, its crystalline form catching the light from the artificial sun overhead, beckoned him forward. "The Council will hear you now." Xenobiologist Calrex. The chamber was vast, designed to accommodate representatives from over 300 species. Most seats were empty today. This was considered a minor matter, hardly worth the attention of the full council. Only the inner circle of 12 had bothered to attend, their varied forms arranged in a semicircle on elevated platforms. At the center sat High Counselor Vex, a Tarjan whose age was evident in the faded patterns on his tentacular appendages. Beside him was General Drax of the Krell Imperium, whose species had dominated the Galactic Enforcement Fleet for millennia. Xenobiologist Calrex. Vex's voice was translated through the chamber systems. "You have requested this audience regarding the proposed containment action for Sol 3. The Council has already reviewed the standard sinological reports. What additional information do you believe warrants our attention?" Calrex moved to the presentation platform, activating his data sphere. "Honorable Council, I have spent 20 cycles studying the dominant species of Sol 3, known as humans. The standard reports classify them as a Level 2 pre-FTL civilization with moderate technological advancement and significant internal conflict. These classifications are dangerously inadequate." Holographic images appeared above the platform. Cities sprawling across continents, vessels traversing oceans, machines soaring through skies. What I believe the standard reports fail to capture is not the current technological state of humans, but their rate of adaptation and problem-solving capacity. General Drax made a dismissive gesture. "We've heard similar arguments about many emerging species. All developing worlds show periods of accelerated advancement." "With respect, General," Calrex countered, "humans have progressed from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary space exploration in less than 200 cycles. Their computational technology doubled in power every 2 cycles for decades. This rate is unprecedented." "Even so," interjected Counselor Zinn of the Myriad Collective, "they remain centuries from achieving true interstellar capability. The containment protocol is merely preventative." Calrex changed the display to show historical images, humans in primitive battle formations, then with increasingly sophisticated weapons, finally footage of their limited orbital defenses. "It is not their weapons that concern me, counselors. It is their nature. In my studies, I have identified 3 traits that make humans uniquely dangerous: adaptability, tenacity, and what they call spite." Spite. Vex leaned forward slightly. "A concept difficult to translate precisely. It is the willingness to accept significant personal cost to ensure harm comes to those who have wronged them. Humans will continue fighting long past the point where logical species would surrender." Drax laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the chamber. "So they are stubborn. Many species fight to the last when cornered. The Krell fleet has pacified dozens such worlds." "You misunderstand." Calrex's voice grew urgent. "Humans do not merely fight to the last. They remember, they learn, and they hold grudges across generations. Their historical records show conflicts where descendants continued wars begun by ancestors long dead." He displayed new images, humans rebuilding cities from ruins, adapting enemy weapons for their own use, surviving in environments that should have killed them. "If the Council authorizes this containment action, this unprovoked attack on their world, they will not simply submit when outmatched. They will go underground. They will study your technology. They will adapt. and they will hunt you until either they or you are exterminated. The chamber fell silent for a moment before Vexa spoke. Your concern is noted, xenobiologist, but the Council's decision is based on predictive models with 97% accuracy across 3,000 species. Humans may be unusual, but they are not exceptional. The models cannot account for what I have observed, Calrex insisted. At minimum, I request we continue observation for another 50 cycles before. Enough, General Drax interrupted. The Krell fleet is already positioned. Resources have been allocated. The containment begins in 3 days. Vexex raised a tentacle for silence. We thank you for your dedication, xenobiologist Calrex. Your observations will be added to the historical record. This audience is concluded. Calrex stood frozen as the council members began to disperse. Then I ask one final thing, he called out. Let the record show my formal protest. And when the humans come hunting through the stars, remember that you were warned. 3 days later, the Krell fleet descended upon Earth. Their energy weapons carved through cities like light through mist. Defense systems were neutralized within hours. Governments collapsed within days. By all appearances, humanity had been contained. General Drax addressed the council from aboard his command ship, satisfaction evident even through the translation algorithms. The operation proceeded with minimal fleet casualties. Human military resistance has been eliminated. Scattered civilian populations remain but pose no threat. The planet's resources will be harvested according to schedule. Calrex watched the transmission from his research station, dread settling in his core. The humans had indeed been overwhelmed. Their technology was no match for the Krell weapons, but something wasn't right. The casualty reports showed far fewer deaths than anticipated. Millions were unaccounted for. 1 month after the invasion, the first Krell supply vessel disappeared without trace. Then another. Then a minor outpost on Earth's moon went silent. General Drax dismissed these as operational anomalies, perhaps resistance from isolated human military units. 3 months after the invasion, a Krell lieutenant requested an emergency audience with the Council. His message was brief before transmission was lost. They're learning. They're adapting. They're inside our systems now. They don't fight like. 6 months after the successful containment of Earth, Calrex received an encrypted message from an impossible source, a human communication frequency using Galactic Common Language. The message contained just 4 words. You tried to warn them. The hunter becomes the hunted. Captain Maya Rise moved silently through the abandoned subway tunnel, her makeshift team following close behind. Once a decorated officer in Earth's unified defense force, she now led a collection of civilians, engineers, and former soldiers united by a single purpose. Survival first, vengeance second. Status report, she whispered into her modified Krell communicator. Alpha team in position, came the reply from Dr. Emerson, once a quantum physicist, now their head of reverse engineering. The ship landed exactly where we predicted. Minimal guard presence. Maya nodded to herself. The aliens were getting sloppy, overconfident. 6 months ago, they had arrived with overwhelming force, their weapons turning major cities to ash within hours. Earth's militaries had crumbled before them. The Galactic Council had declared the human problem resolved. They couldn't have been more wrong. Move on my mark, Maya ordered. Remember, we need the navigation system intact this time. The Krell landing vessel sat in what had once been Central Park, now a barren field used as a collection point for Earth's resources. 6 alien guards patrolled its perimeter, their scaled forms encased in armor that had once seemed impenetrable. Maya raised her hand, then dropped it sharply. Simultaneously, 6 silent weapons fired from the surrounding ruins. The guards dropped without a sound. 60 seconds before the automated check-in, warned Raj, their communications expert who had spent weeks decrypting Krell protocols. The team moved with practiced efficiency. They had done this 12 times before, each operation more ambitious than the last. What had begun as desperate scavenging for survival had evolved into a coordinated campaign of acquisition and adaptation. Dr. Emerson approached the ship's entry port, applying a device of his own creation, a hybrid of human ingenuity and salvaged alien technology. The door slid open without triggering alarms. "Engineering team, you have 4 minutes," Maya announced as they entered the vessel. The interior was clinically sparse, designed for utility rather than comfort. The Krell, like most species in the Galactic Council, viewed Earth as nothing more than a resource depot. They had never bothered to learn about the beings who called it home. Their mistake. While the engineering team worked to extract the navigation system, Maya accessed the ship's communication array. Each captured vessel provided another piece of intelligence, another fragment of the vast network that connected the stars. "Captain," Emerson called out, "we've got something unexpected. This isn't a standard resource transport. It's carrying diplomatic markers." Maya frowned. "Diplomatic? The Krell don't negotiate." "Not Krell," Emerson clarified, studying the alien symbols. "It's registered to something called the Centaurus Collective." Before Maya could respond, Raj broke in urgently. "Movement outside. Something big approaching from the east." "Pack it up," Maya ordered. 30 seconds to evac. As the team gathered their acquired technology, a shadow fell across the ship's viewports. Another vessel was landing nearby, larger than any they had encountered before. Its design was unfamiliar. Not Krell, not any of the alien architectures they had learned to recognize. "Change of plans," Maya decided. "Raj, delay that check-in signal as long as you can. Everyone else, concealment positions. Let's see who our new visitors are." Through the viewport, Maya watched as the new ship settled on the scared Earth. Its hull bore markings unlike the militaristic symbols of the Krell. When its doors opened, the beings that emerged were not the hulking, reptilian forms she had grown to hate. These creatures were slender, with 4 limbs and elongated cranial structures. They moved with caution, scanning the area where the Krell guards lay dead. "They're not triggering the Krell alarms," Raj whispered. "Either they don't know how, or they don't want to." Maya finished the thought. One of the aliens approached the ship directly, stopping just outside the entry port. It made a series of gestures that seemed deliberate, almost like a signal. Maya made a decision. She stepped into view, weapon ready but not aimed. The alien didn't retreat. Instead, it spoke in halting, accented English. "I am Calyrex, xenobiologist. I tried to warn them about humans." Hours later, in the underground facility that had once been a government disaster bunker, Maya sat across from the alien who called himself Calyrex. Her team had brought both ships to their hidden landing area, a risk, but one that might prove worthwhile. "Let me understand this," Maya said. "You studied us secretly for years. You told this Galactic Council that attacking Earth would be a mistake, and now you've come looking for us." Calyrex's translator converted his speech with a slight delay. "I have come because what is happening now is precisely what I feared. The Council dismissed humanity as just another primitive species to be contained. They did not understand what they were creating." "And what was that?" Maya asked, her voice hard. "An enemy unlike any they have faced. Already, stories spread through the galaxy. Krell ships vanishing. Communication outposts going silent. Alien technology appearing in human hands." Calyrex's large eyes blinked slowly. "The Council believed containment would take 3 months. After 6, the Krell have lost 26 vessels and over 400 personnel." Dr. Emerson, who had been examining data from the diplomatic ship, looked up. "According to these logs, some Council members are calling for a full retreat from Earth. Others demand escalation," Calyrex added. "Planet-killing weapons. But there is a third faction forming. Those who believe a terrible mistake was made." Maya leaned forward. "And which faction are you with?" "I represent the Centaurus Collective. We opposed the attack from the beginning. Now we come offering alliance." Alliance? Maya repeated skeptically. You expect us to trust any alien species after what was done to Earth? No, Calrex replied simply. I expect you to act in your own interest. The collective can provide technical knowledge, star maps, access to communication networks. In return, we ask only that when humanity inevitably reaches the stars, you remember who stood with you. Maya exchanged glances with her team. 6 months ago, they had been fighting for mere survival. Now they were negotiating with alien diplomats. Show me what you've brought, she finally said. The information Calrex provided transformed their resistance overnight. Star charts revealed Krell supply routes. Technical specifications exposed weaknesses in alien defenses. Communication frequencies allowed them to monitor enemy movements. 2 months later, Maya stood on a hillside watching as humans piloted their first captured Krell warship into Earth's atmosphere. It wasn't just a victory. It was a revolution. You were right, she said to Calrex, who stood beside her. They should have listened to your warning. The Council has existed for 50 millennia, the xenobiologist replied. In all that time, they'd never encountered a species like yours. Humans don't just survive. You transform adversity into advantage. In the distance, more ships were rising, a growing fleet cobbled together from captured vessels and reverse-engineered technology. The Krell have begun full withdrawal from your solar system, Calrex noted. The Council is in disarray. Many worlds are questioning their authority for the first time in thousands of years. Maya watched as the ships formed up in Earth's orbit, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. Tell your collective they made the right choice, she said. Humanity remembers both its enemies and its friends, and we're just getting started. As the sun set over the recovering Earth, news spread through the galaxy. A young species had done the impossible. They had taken the technology of their conquerors and turned it against them. They had forced a retreat of the mighty Krell fleet, and now they were looking toward the stars. In the hallowed chambers of the Galactic Council, a recording played on repeat, the final warning of a xenobiologist they had ignored. When the humans come hunting through the stars, remember that you were warned. Now those stars trembled at the approach of humanity.